Warriors of the Future. Chronicles of Hope Chapter 1. The Twilight of Eden. The world had become a graveyard of human ambition. In the year 2147, Earth bore little resemblance to the vibrant planet of centuries past. Towering megacities rose from the decimated landscape like metal and concrete tombstones, their surfaces etched with the scars of ecological collapse. Artificial domes known as eco-shields hung above these urban sprawls, a fragile membrane protecting what remained of human civilization from the toxic atmosphere. The story of humanity's downfall was written in the genetic code of a single organism, Pandora. What began as humanity's most ambitious attempt at environmental salvation had transformed into its most catastrophic mistake. Created by a consortium of the world's top genetic engineers, Pandora was designed to be the ultimate solution to environmental degradation. A genetically engineered plant capable of absorbing toxic pollutants, purifying the atmosphere, and restoring ecological balance. But nature, as always, had other plans. The first signs of trouble emerged quietly. Research logs recovered from the abandoned laboratories of the Global Ecological Restoration Project told a chilling story of gradual mutation. What was meant to be a carefully controlled organism began to exhibit alarming characteristics. Pandora's adaptive capabilities far exceeded the scientists' wildest expectations and worst nightmares. Within months, the plant had transformed from a potential savior to an existential threat. Its tendrils spread with terrifying rapidity, consuming entire urban landscapes. The genetic modifications designed to make it resilient had created a monster that defied all attempts at control. Worse still, Pandora developed a horrifying defense mechanism: toxic spores that could kill any living organism on contact. Cities fell. Entire populations were wiped out. The remaining humans retreated behind the eco-shields, watching in horror as their world was systematically consumed by an organism they had created. The Global Alliance, a desperate coalition of the world's surviving nations, knew they needed more than traditional military might to combat this threat. They needed warriors who were part soldier, part scientist. Individuals who could understand Pandora as much as they could fight it. And so, the Vanguard Corps was born. Chapter 2. Forging the Vanguard. Commander Raylen Kane was not a man who believed in destiny. He was a pragmatist, forged in the crucible of humanity's darkest hour. Standing 6 feet tall, with piercing gray eyes that had seen too much, he embodied the last vestiges of human resistance against Pandora. His office aboard Fortress 1 was Spartan, a single holographic display, a worn leather chair, and walls lined with tactical maps showing Pandora's progression across the globe. Each red zone represented another lost territory, another battlefield where humanity had been forced to retreat. The Vanguard Corps was more than just a military unit, it was humanity's last hope. Sergeant Ava Lin represented the technological prowess of the team. Born in the reconstructed mega-city of Neo-Singapore, she had grown up hearing stories of the world before Pandora. Her expertise in drone technology and tactical navigation made her indispensable. Her hands, covered in intricate biomechanical interfaces, could control multiple reconnaissance drones simultaneously. Lieutenant Jace Moreno brought raw combat experience. A veteran of countless skirmishes against Pandora's mutated defenders, he was a walking arsenal. His exosuit was customized with experimental plasma weaponry, each modification a testament to his survival instincts. But it was Dr. Elena Voss who truly understood the enemy. A geneticist whose entire career had been dedicated to studying Pandora, she saw the organism not as a monster, but as the most sophisticated life form humanity had ever encountered. Her colleagues often joked that she spoke about Pandora with more reverence than most people spoke about their loved ones. Their mission was deceptively simple yet monumentally complex. Infiltrate Pandora's core in Neo-Hong Kong, deploy a bioweapon that could neutralize its spread, and prevent the total extinction of human civilization. Chapter 3. The descent. The drop into the infected zone was anything but smooth. Fortress 1's massive hull vibrated with the intensity of anti-gravity stabilizers as it maneuvered through layers of toxic atmospheric clouds. Below them, Neo-Hong Kong had transformed from a thriving metropolis into a nightmarish landscape where architecture and biology had merged into something utterly alien. Pandora's tendrils wound through skyscrapers like living veins, pulsating with an almost rhythmic intensity. Buildings that once symbolized human engineering now looked like organic sculptures, consumed and reshaped by the relentless plant organism. Atmospheric toxicity at critical levels. Ava's voice cut through the tension. Her augmented vision systems scanned the terrain, mapping potential entry points and tracking minute variations in Pandora's biomechanical structure. Raylen's voice was calm, a deliberate counterpoint to the chaos surrounding them. Prepare for deployment. Full tactical gear, maximum shield configuration. Their exosuits were miracles of human engineering. Adaptive nanomaterials could instantly reconfigure to provide maximum protection against Pandora's toxic environment. Integrated life support systems monitored every physiological parameter, ready to activate emergency protocols at the slightest sign of biological contamination. As they descended, the first wave of Pandora's guardians emerged. Chapter 4. Guardians of the infected. They were no longer human. Not in any recognizable sense. Grotesque hybrids of flesh and plant matter. Pandora's guardians moved with a terrifying combination of organic fluidity and mechanical precision. Where human bodies should have been, there were now tangled masses of vine-like muscle, eyes replaced by clusters of bioluminescent spore sacs. Jace was the first to open fire, his plasma rifle cutting through the first wave of creatures with surgical precision. Hostiles confirmed. Multiple targets, varying biomechanical configurations. The battle was unlike anything they had ever encountered. These weren't mindless zombies or simple mutated creatures. Each guardian seemed to possess a form of collective intelligence, adapting tactics in real time, coordinating attacks with an almost strategic complexity. Elena's scientific mind raced even as she assisted in combat. They're not just defending, she shouted over the plasma discharge. They're learning. Each encounter is a data point for Pandora's evolutionary algorithm. Ava's drones provided critical support, their advanced sensor packages identifying weak points in the Guardian's biological armor. Precision laser targeting allowed Jace to exploit these vulnerabilities, transforming each Guardian into a rapidly disintegrating mass of plant and flesh. Chapter 5. The living core. When they finally reached Pandora's central core, the true scale of the organism's complexity became terrifyingly apparent. This was no simple plant or even a complex biological system. It was a living, thinking entity that defied all previous understanding of life. The core pulsed with an inner light, translucent yet somehow solid, revealing complex networks of biomechanical structures that seemed to breathe and think simultaneously. Tendrils of luminescent material extended and retracted in patterns that suggested communication, or perhaps consciousness. "This is beyond anything in our research," Elena whispered, her scientific detachment momentarily giving way to genuine awe. "Pandora isn't just adapting. It's evolving with a purpose we can't comprehend." Their moment of revelation was interrupted by the emergence of Leviathan, a massive biomechanical entity that seemed to be Pandora's ultimate defensive mechanism. Part machine, part organic matter, it rose from the core like a living nightmare. Chapter 6. Sacrifice and strategy. The battle against Leviathan pushed the team to their absolute limits. Its ability to instantaneously regenerate damaged sections and launch coordinated attacks made it seem almost invincible. Traditional weapons were little more than minor irritations. It was Jace who first recognized a potential weakness. By analyzing the core's energy signatures, he identified potential points of vulnerability, microsecond windows where Leviathan's regenerative capabilities might be compromised. "We have one shot at this," he announced, his voice tight with concentration. "Ava, I need your drone swarm to create a cascading electromagnetic interference. Elena, prepare the bioweapon for maximum dispersal. Commander, we're going to need your tactical precision to time this perfectly." What followed was a ballet of technological and biological warfare. Ava's drones created intricate interference patterns, momentarily disrupting Leviathan's sensory capabilities. Elena's bioweapon, a culmination of years of research, was primed for deployment. And Jace? He became the distraction, drawing Leviathan's full attention, knowing full well the likely outcome of his actions. Chapter 7. A fragile hope. When the bioweapon detonated, it didn't destroy Pandora. Instead, it achieved something far more nuanced. a temporary neutralization that provided humanity with a crucial breathing space. Jace's sacrifice was not in vain, but the cost was devastating. As they escaped Fortress 1, the team knew that this was merely one battle in a war that was far from over. The sunrise over Neo-Hong Kong carried with it a complex mixture of hope and uncertainty. Humanity had survived. For now. But Pandora was still out there, waiting, evolving, learning. And the next encounter might not end in their favor.